Listen, some people don't just underestimate you. They rewrite your entire existence in their head. And the worst part? They do it so confidently, you almost start believing it too. My name's Adrian Vega. I'm 31. And for most of my life, I was the disappointment. Not officially, not in words anyone would admit out loud, but in tone, in silence, in the way my father introduced me like I was a footnote in his story. Yeah, that's Adrian. He does something with computers. Something. That something paid his mortgage for the last year. He just didn't know it. See, my father, Carlos Vega, was the kind of man who built his entire personality around success. Tailored suits, firm handshake, voice always just a little louder than necessary. He owned a construction company in Houston, Vega Contracting. Not huge, but big enough to make him feel important. Big enough to make him believe he was the smartest man in every room. And in his world, there were only 3 respectable paths: law, medicine, or business that looked like his. Everything else, a hobby. Especially tech. When I told him at 18 that I wanted to study software engineering, he didn't yell. He laughed. Actually laughed, like I had just told him I wanted to be a professional gamer or, I don't know, a magician. "You're too smart to waste your life staring at screens," he said. "Men build things with their hands, real things." I remember standing there thinking, isn't code building something? But I didn't argue, because arguing with my father was like arguing with a wall, except the wall judged you. So I left. Not dramatically, no big fight, just distance, college, jobs, late nights, energy drinks, second-hand laptops. While my older brother Mateo joined the company, became the future of Vega Contracting, I became invisible. Now here's the part nobody knew. By 29, I wasn't just doing something with computers, I was the founder of a logistics software company called Gridline Systems. We built infrastructure software, the kind construction companies use to manage projects, supply chains, labor, timelines, everything. Not flashy, but powerful, and very, very profitable. Let me put it like this. If a company used our system, they didn't just run smoother. They made more money. A lot more. Which is why we had clients across 3 states. Which is why we were quietly pulling in 8 figures annually. And which is why Vega Contracting had been using our platform for the last 14 months. Yeah, my father's company was one of my clients. He just didn't know it. Because everything was handled through our enterprise team. Contracts signed digitally. Payments automated, support tickets routed through layers of staff. To him, Gridline Systems was just another vendor. To me, it was 27% of his operational efficiency. And I never told him, not once. Not when he complained about software costs, not when he bragged about improving margins, not when he sat at dinner talking about how he turned things around. I just listened, collected data. Because here's the thing about people, when they think you're nobody, they show you exactly who they are. And my father, he was consistent, consistently dismissive, consistently arrogant, consistently convinced that I had wasted my life. Then came the night everything snapped. My mother called. "Family dinner Sunday. Your father wants everyone there." Translation? Mateo would be praised, his fiancée would be admired, and I would be tolerated. I almost didn't go, but something told me, go, watch, one more time. So I went. Simple outfit, nothing flashy, but I did bring something. Not intentionally dramatic, just habit, my wallet, and inside it a few of my updated business cards. Clean, minimal. Adrian Vega, founder and CEO, Gridline Systems. Dinner started exactly how you'd expect. My father at the head of the table, talking, leading, performing. Mateo discussing a new contract. My father nodding like a proud king. "And Adrian?" someone asked. My father waved his hand. He's still figuring things out. Still. At 31. I smiled. Didn't correct him. Then something interesting happened. One of my father's business partners walked in. Henry Collins. Big client, serious money. The kind of man my father respected instantly. Henry joined us, sat down, ordered a drink, and within minutes they started talking shop. We finally optimized our workflow, my father said proudly, cut delays by almost 30%. Henry raised an eyebrow. That's impressive. New management? No, my father said, smirking. Just experience. I almost laughed because I knew exactly what caused that 30% improvement. Our system. My system. Then Henry said something that changed everything. You guys using Gridline yet? My father nodded. Yeah, some software company. Pretty decent. Pretty decent? I leaned back in my chair. Watched. Waited. Henry smiled. Decent? That platform saved us millions last year. My father chuckled. Well, tools are only as good as the people using them. And there it was, that subtle, dismissive arrogance, the belief that success always traced back to him. I reached for my wallet to pay for my part of dinner, and just like that, one card slipped out, landed face up on the table. Silence. My father picked it up, looked at it, and then he laughed. Not a small laugh, not a polite laugh, a full, loud, humiliating laugh. CEO, he said. He turned the card so everyone could see. Adrian, what is this? Matteo leaned in. Henry leaned in. My father shook his head. You can't just print things like this, son. I felt it, that heat in my chest, that pressure behind my ribs. But I stayed calm. It's not printed for fun, I said quietly. He ignored me. You think this is a joke? He continued. People actually work their whole lives to earn titles like this. Henry looked confused now. Matteo looked uncomfortable. My father kept going. This is exactly the problem, he said. Fantasy instead of reality. Then Henry spoke. Soft, careful. Carlos? Gridline systems? That's... But my father cut him off. Don't worry about it. He probably found the name online. And in that moment, everything became clear. Not just what he thought of me, but what he needed me to be. Small, irrelevant, safe. So I stood up, took the card from his hand, looked him straight in the eyes, and said, Yeah, you're right. Then I walked out. No shouting, no scene, just done. By the time I got to my car, I already knew what I was going to do. Not out of anger, not revenge, just correction. I pulled out my phone, called my operations director. Hey, I said, terminate Vega Contracting's access to our platform. Pause. Wait, what? Full shutdown, I said calmly. Give them 72 hours notice. Transition support only. No renewal. I know, I said. Silence. Then, got it. I hung up, sat there in the dark, and exhaled. Because some lessons you can't explain. You have to let people experience them. No drama, no insults, no explanation. Just clean, corporate language. Due to internal restructuring, Gridline Systems will be discontinuing services with Vega Contracting. Transition support will be provided for 72 hours. That's it. Cold, professional, final. By 8:07 a.m., my phone started vibrating. First call, unknown number. I ignored it. Second call, same number. Ignored. Third call. I already knew. I picked up. Adrian? My father's voice, but not the same voice, not the loud, confident, I own the room voice. This one? Tight, uneasy. What is this email? He asked. Straight to the point. No greeting, no, how are you? Just business. Funny how that works. It's exactly what it says, I replied. Silence. Then a sharp exhale. You're telling me you're behind this? Yes. Another silence, longer this time. He was processing, connecting dots that had never existed in his world before. "You work for them?" he asked. I almost smiled. "No," I said calmly. "I am them." Nothing. No sound, just silence. And in that silence, I could almost hear his identity cracking. "That's not funny," he finally said. "I'm not joking. You expect me to believe that you—" "I built it," I cut in, "from scratch." His voice dropped. "Adrian, stop." Not angry, not yet, just threatened. 14 months, I continued. That's how long you've been using my system. You didn't— Your efficiency jump, I said, that 30% you were bragging about last night? Silence. That was me. He breathed in slowly, and I realized something in that moment. This wasn't just about business anymore. This was about control, and he was losing it. "Why would you do this?" he asked, finally. Not how, not when. Why? I leaned back in my seat, looked out at the skyline. "What do?" "Don't play games," he snapped. "You're cutting off my company." "No," I said calmly. "I'm ending a contract." "That contract feeds families," he shot back. "We have projects running, deadlines, people depending on this system." "And I had something too," I said quietly. Silence. "You had a son." That hit. I felt it through the phone. "I didn't know," he said quickly. "If I knew—" "That's the point," I cut in again. "You didn't know." I let that sit. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. "You never asked," I continued. "Not once in 12 years. Not once," I repeated. "You decided who I was and never updated the file." His voice hardened again, defensive now. "I provided for this family. I built everything you had growing up. And I respected that," I replied. "I never took that away from you." "Then why are you doing this?" And there it was again. Why? Like everything had to orbit around his perspective. "I'm making a business decision," I said. "That's not business, that's personal." "No," I said calmly. "What happened last night, that was personal." Silence again, but this one, heavy. "You embarrassed me," I said quietly, "in front of your partner, your clients, your family." "I didn't know it was real," he said. "You didn't believe it could be real," I corrected. He didn't respond, because he couldn't, because he knew. "Adrian," his voice softened now, "we can fix this." Fix. Like it was a broken chair, not a broken pattern. "How?" I asked. "I'll apologize." "Now?" "Yes. Not last night? Not when you laughed? Not when you called it fake?" "I said I didn't know." There it is again, that excuse you keep hiding behind. I sat up, voice steady, clear. "You didn't know because you didn't care enough to know." Silence. Deep, uncomfortable, unavoidable. "I need that system, Adrian," he said finally. "Not you, not us, the system." And that told me everything. Transition support is 72 hours. After that, access is gone. "You're going to cripple us." "You'll survive." "You don't know that." I paused, then said something he'd said to me years ago, word for word. "Then maybe you should have made better decisions." Silence. Sharp inhale. "You're being vindictive," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm being consistent." And then I hung up. The next 48 hours? Chaos. Emails, calls, emergency meetings. My operations team kept me updated. Vega Contracting is requesting extension. Denied. They're offering to renegotiate pricing. Denied. They're asking for direct meeting. Pending. By Tuesday afternoon, he showed up. At my office, unannounced. Reception called me. "Adrian, there's a Carlos Vega here to see you." I closed my laptop, sat still for a second, then said, "Send him in." 10 years. That's how long it had been since my father walked into a space that was mine. He stepped in slowly, looked around, glass walls, open floor, engineers moving with purpose, screens everywhere, systems alive. My world, and for the first time, he looked out of place. "Nice office," he said. I nodded. "Have a seat." He didn't sit right away, still taking it in, still trying to understand how the disappointment built all this. Finally, he sat. Across from me, same position as always, but everything else? Different. "You built this?" he asked. "Yes." "Alone?" "No," I said. "I built it without you." That landed. Hard. He leaned forward, hands clasped. "Adrian, listen to me." "No," I thought. "You listen." But I stayed quiet. "I was wrong," he said. There it was, finally. But something felt off, incomplete. "About what?" I asked. He blinked, caught. "About last night," he said. I nodded slowly. "Just last night?" He hesitated, and that hesitation said everything. "You need this contract," I said calmly. "Yes," he admitted. "More than you need to understand me." "That's not true," he said. "Then prove it." Silence. Because this wasn't about pride anymore. This was about truth, and truth doesn't negotiate. I leaned forward slightly, voice calm, final. "You have 48 hours left." He stared at me, searching for something, a crack, a weakness, his son. But all he found was the man he never bothered to know. And as he stood to leave, I said one last thing. "Next time you laugh at someone's dream," I paused, let it hit. "Make sure you can afford it." He walked out without a word, and for the first time in his life, my father understood something he never believed before. Power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being underestimated and knowing exactly when to stop being quiet.